Hey, I'm Daniel Berger, and this is Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. Welcome to the podcast where Metro New York real estate meets great stories and a douse of humor. Forget the dry sales talk. Here we dive into the fun and unexpected moments of real estate. Join me each week as we explore Westchester, Long Island, the Bronx, and more. You'll hear about the people, the places, and the crazy situations that make this industry so interesting. Thanks to our sponsor, Remax Prestige Properties, we're ready to share the lighter side of real estate. Whether you're a pro, a buyer, or just curious, we've got something for everyone. Ready for today's adventure? Let's get into it. Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker with Daniel Berger. Today, I'm excited to have on the other side of the interview, because I've been interviewed by Donna several times. Donna Drake from the Donna Drake Show. I've known Donna for decades now. It's at least 20 something years, I believe. She's an amazing person. She's a dreamer. And that sounds, dreaming's one thing. And so what I like to say about Donna, if she doesn't just dream it, she does it and she makes it happen. Everything about her life is she focuses on hope, motivation, and resilience. She's the champion of the power of positivity and creativity. And whether it's in media broadcast or marketing or anything that she does, her way about her is amazing. She's a point of light and absolutely positive all the time. And with that, I wanted to welcome Donna to the show.
Hello, Danny Berger.
So we've known each other for a while, and actually, I'm lucky enough to say that one of your dreams, your early on dreams, actually was a midlife dream, because you've had dreams way before that, but was that you wanted to do your own television show and to produce it, direct it, be the creative for everything. And obviously that's a daunting task, but you know what? You went out, you started looking for people that could help you, people in your Rolodex. And at the time I was at Green Mountain Coffee, and we were looking to how do we get our brand out there. And so it was an amazing connection that it wasn't just supporting it that way, but I also helped out as a producer on your show and doing different segments and helping with the filming to get your show off the ground. We've been through a lot together.
We have a lot of good personal funny memories. It was interesting with, I think it was Rich Rodowitz, who originally connected us. I was down in Philly working for the Melting Pot restaurants, and Rich mentioned your name. He goes, I've got this great guy. And I was like, okay, wonderful. But you have always been a yes to me from the day we met. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that, because we were virtually strangers, right? And all of a sudden we just came together. It was this group of about 20 of us. We're loosely connected, and we launched our own television show, something that hadn't been done before in this way. And I've been on CBS now close to almost 20 years. And you were there from the very beginning. Your Green Mountain sponsorship, I didn't even drink coffee at the time, Danny, but then I started to. But that sponsorship really, as well as your hard work and your connections and your charisma, really helped catapult this dream that is now a reality. So I can't thank you enough. And we've had so much fun over the years.
I remember one of your shows, we went to the Chocolate Lady, and I brought my kids there, and my daughter doesn't like chocolate, but my son loves it. And so my children have been in a couple of your episodes. You brought up this morning that I was laughing. You did an episode on manscaping, and I was the person that got to be manscaped. And so at some point I need to tag that and to show that on my Instagram or whatever. But ultimately, what you've done in media, and I think ties in a lot to what people have to do in real estate, right? You're an independent contractor. You had your vision, you had to sell it, you had to sell yourself, you had to sell your vision, and then all of a sudden you're on television, right? And that's something that's almost unheard of. Oprah Winfrey obviously has a huge television and books and everything about it, but she also has huge teams and huge backings. And what you've done is similar to that. It's just on a different scale, but certainly harder, I would say, because you had to really do it with piecemealing it together. But the people that I've seen that you've tied yourself with are ones that It's really from a personal connection, right, than it is from a business. That personal connection turns
Yeah,
into business connections.
absolutely. It's a lot like real estate, very similar, because when you get a listing and then you sell that house, you need to go on and get another listing. Having a television show is very much like that because I haven't had any repeats in the last 19 years. So what happens is that a guest comes on, right? We complete the show, we tape everything all in one day. And after that's, I guess say put to bed, after we complete that, right? And it airs on the network television stations, it's time to do it again. So it's very similar to real estate and it is always people driven, right? So without a great guest, and for, I guess, real estate, without a great listing or a great buyer, right? There is no transaction. So this is really being in the business of people connection. I also like real estate because I grew up artsy. I'm still artsy. I actually created this set. I just drew it out on a piece of poster board and then manifested it. So when I go into a home, from the moment you cross a threshold, a house or a home also has a personality. And I know that might sound funny to you, or maybe it doesn't. From the moment you walk into a space, it has an aura, it has a vibe, it has a life. The walls, the paintings, the wall coverings, the furniture. It's a living, breathing thing, right? And that's how the television set is. It's a living, breathing home. So when somebody comes in to be on set with me, we're welcoming them into our home. And it's the transaction between the people that make it what it is. Same thing. If I wasn't doing what I was doing, I'd either be a real estate
You'd
agent.
be a state, right, or you'd be a stager because you
Right.
have your way with it, right? And that's really what you're doing is you're staging your stage and your studios, and you're trying to create an atmosphere and to say something. And that's what people do when you set this house. You're saying, I want to make it look a certain way, or I might either the way that it is, or I want to make it look a little bit different. You would be a great person, especially in a gut renovated, right? Where it'd be totally okay, all the work was done. Now make it look a certain way. Some of that can be done through virtual staging as well, but it does. So certainly pictures are important, but some of my, I generally try not to have my clients spend money if they don't have to. So there's a combination of sometimes the staging can be like $10,000 to $15,000. So that's a fairly big expense. It really depends on the person's budget and depends on what we're selling. So I'm doing like a $3 million condo in Greenwich this week, and that was fully staged because it's a different price point and a different buyer. And so that was, and again, that was from talking to the owner, that was what he wanted to do. But sometimes you don't need to do that. The using technology, we were talking about technology earlier before the show, but technology can be great and technology can also get in the way of things. I guess technology for you has been good because it's allowed you to have your dream and your show because I guess back in the day it would be the production costs would be almost insurmountable. And now with the way that you can do things, you can bring that down, production costs down, so that you can do what you can fulfill your dream.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because my production costs are actually higher. What do I mean by that? So we invested in a lot of great editing computers, higher end cameras, and things like that. So although my production costs have increased, what technology has done for us, though, Dan, is to be able to engage like we are now. Like on my set, I have this gigantic cell phone that's painted green. So when I interviewed Kenny Loggins or some celebrities that don't or can't fly in to be with me, I'm able to use technology in that way. And that has completely been a game changer for me. You wouldn't have this show either if it wasn't for the technology that we're using to be able to talk to one another, even though we're not physically together. So I would say my production costs have increased. It costs me a lot of money now to do the show at the high level of quality that I do it at. But technology has certainly helped me open a lot of doors in that regard.
I also see that some of the technology that you invested in is to help you film and tape for businesses. So you actually are doing it more from a commercial standpoint, do not just your show. If it was just your show, that might be one thing, but you're using it also to have to be able to be a media network and to be able to, if someone wants to pitch a brand or do a commercial, you have the tools to actually do that.
We do.
So, and the other thing is your quality is so you could do it less expensive than what you're doing, but if you really had it old school with big more people, cameras, whatever, to make the quality look like that you have, it would be more expensive. You're not being cheap. You're investing in a high caliber production, less expensive than that would have normally have been. So that's what I meant by
Absolutely.
that's what I
Yes,
meant by
yes,
that. But
100%. I'm able to produce something that
that
looks
goes
like it's
on
a million dollars.
that's on national television
I think
from exit 57 or 69, whatever exit you are in the LIE on Long Island,
all
right?
over the world. Yeah, we're in 25 countries now and literally in 30 million homes now on different CBS stations. And yeah, it's been a tremendous fun journey. I liked what you were saying earlier too about someone not necessarily having to spend money to stage their house nicely. A lot of times you could just repurpose or recycle things, right? And it's just a matter of shifting something that could make that ooh kind of moment, magical moments inside somebody's house, right? So I think
Yeah.
they're very resourceful like that. And I think a lot of your home sellers right now, that's a great way to go about things is to take sometimes what you have and just kind of give it a little more personality, a little more pizzazz, if you will. An old
You know,
vase with some fresh flowers. I don't know, stuff like that.
our market is still a seller's market. So in a seller's market, sellers can be less creative and still sell the house because there's so many buyers. So when it turns into a buyer's market, you need to do more creative things to make your house stand out. And
And
so,
no dirty socks at the threshold, right?
no, dirty
No.
socks are generally not a good idea. But you know what? But I would say that I have clients that there's all different types, right? And not every, so it would be great to have museum quality house every single listing. Those are the easy ones, right? Because you walk in, it's, oh my God, this is gorgeous. It's actually, you need a better salesperson to sell the ones that the people can't get out of their way. They have pets, they're dirty, and then how do you then, because then it's really about psyche, and how do you then work with those people to not you're not there to ever put somebody down, but how do you work with what you have in a productive, proactive way to make them feel okay about their house and who they are, and then get people to come in who understand that when you sell the house, people move and their things move and the house is empty. And so it's really trying to paint the picture and treat it, the golden rule of treating others as you would want to be treated certainly does well in real estate. It does well in what you do. I mean, you interview people, that's what you do for a living. I would argue that I'm not selling real estate at all, right? So for a listing, if somebody calls me, texts me, emails me, has me come to their house, it's really an interview, right? I actually go with I don't bring items with me, right? I don't bring like sell sheets. I just don't do that. It's me, right? So ultimately, if you don't like me or don't want me, or you think there's someone better, then you should it's absolutely go use them. And what's interesting is for me, this is being like what my third career or something. I've always been involved in sales and marketing, but real estate I didn't start until like I was in my mid to late 40s.
I remember where you started. I remember the day that you said this is what you're going to do. And we were all like, wow, that's perfect for you.
That's because I listened to
So,
my wife, right? My wife told me I should be a real estate agent, but I also props to my wife because not only that, this is another thing that's
yes.
probably very similar from you, right? Because if you dream it, like it's a joke in my family that I'm the first published author. Right. My son has written a screenplay. So my son is a writer and actually is in Hollywood right now trying to get his big break. He'd like to one day be as big as Donna Drake. That's his goal. So
Your
he's
kids are
out there.
sweet.
So he's out
Your
there.
kids are great.
He's out there. Actually, yesterday he met with a friend of mine who's writing two pilots who wrote Oz and CSI Miami, and he's having lunch with them and trying to network. And another one of my friends was the founder of the Jackass movies, Jeff Tremaine, Zach's intern. So Zach is doing everything he can to be. He's a little Donna Drake, and he knew Donna Drake when he was little. How do you get into a business, and how do you desire to do that? It's just being nice to people, volunteering. You'll like this. My son's he has like his first big job is for Paramount. It's seasonal between now and the end of the year as doing studio tours.
Oh, he'll be great at that.
So driving the
That's
golf
going to be
cart
awesome.
and he's interviewing to do mailroom jobs. So it is LA, Hollywood, that start from the bottom, do anything that you can. And you've done that. You've done anything you can. And I would say that a successful realtor, it really doesn't matter what brand, the sign that you put on the lawn is the least important thing. But it's that person behind that sign, right? Do you
Right.
follow up? Do you call people? How is your way, right? You're always being interviewed. And so it's a people person business. And I'm lucky now because I'm 9 years in, and a lot of my business is referrals, which is part of why I wrote the book. So the funny thing about the book is I write the book with my son's girlfriend because if I learned anything from you, it's how do you work with people that you see in your network? And my son's girlfriend wants to be a publisher. And last year she was a senior in college and she didn't have a job that summer. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to hire you to co-write my book with me. And she's sure. Then it's going to give her something on her resume. We it was as spoken to. She then wrote it, and then my wife basically had to edit it, and she did an amazing job with that. But it's how do you leverage all those things? But I had my book party happened to be in my backyard. We had 150 people. It was a book signing, right? So I was signing everyone's books. I had a barbecue, I had a bartender. It was an event, and people were like walking around saying, I'm chapter 5 or I'm chapter 10. And I actually didn't have anyone. I have pictures of my clients in the book. I didn't have anyone sign any releases. I didn't have anyone sign a release for pictures or the stories about them. And I think only one person's name I changed just because it would be better that way to keep a little anonymity. But other than that, it's really just people's stories of their adventures. It could be the adventures of Donna Drake, right? So it's basically, these are some of the stories that I've had over my 9, 10 years. And then when people read it, they're like, oh, that's not bad. It's a book about real estate, but it's not me preaching about anything. It's storytelling.
I bought your book. It hasn't arrived yet, but I did buy it. So I'm excited to see that. You were mentioning about your son driving a golf cart. One thing that I think people should know about you is that you're a really good golfer, right? So anybody that's either selling a house, buying a house, they want to be near a golf course, they want to know somebody that once knew how to swing, any pro golfers. You are the it guy when it comes to golf.
Well, I thank you for saying that, but because I've been in real estate, I've become scratch real estate broker, but my handicap in golf has gone up because I'm too
Okay,
focused on real estate.
good to know.
But that's a passion and a hobby. And when you talk about how we met, Rich Rodowitz was one, but CJ Papa was the other. And
Oh,
so
okay.
CJ, you knew
He
from
worked
TV
in this
10 and
building.
50. He worked in that
Absolutely.
building.
Yeah, he was
And
the sports guy.
I was his producer, right? So as a hobby, so think about everything about helping. I was his producer for sports in an unpaid job because I liked helping him. And how cool is that you're able to like go into the Met locker room, the Yankee locker room. You're televising at live from All-Star games. You're doing his golf work. You're going to events. So I learned about producing and all of that because that's what I was doing. I was basically his producer. And so people are like, oh, that's so lucky that you were able to go to the locker room. I'm like, you make your own luck, right?
You do.
By me spending and investing my time helping CJ, that's also how I met you. And then I helped you do stuff. So I love that. When I remember the segments that I did the most were we did all the cooking segments, right? We did we had to do 13. I think you had the first season, you wanted to have 13 shows, and we did 13 cooking episodes. And that was also because of the Green Mountain Coffee. We said, oh, that's going to be a good sponsor. We'll show the coffee. But it was like, how do you do that? And we were in people's apartments and it was total shoestring budget. If you even could say that was a budget, you were probably mortgaging your house
I did. When I started, yeah, speaking of houses, yeah, Danny, that's exactly what I did. When I started this television show, I sold my house, I sold everything I owned, and I invested it in this dream. And luckily for me, it worked out great. Because if you remember in 2008, when I started the show, the economy wasn't so great back then.
Exactly.
People were losing their home equity lines of credit. It was messy. I literally did. I sold everything I own. I did the opposite. When people sell a house and they're supposed to put everything away and pretend like nobody lives there, I
You
had
were
a
the queen of the
yard
garage.
sale.
You had the garden sale, the garage sale. You're also Miss Cookie, the cookie. You do a cookie bake off.
My 50th exchange is coming up December 7th at 2 o'clock here in the studio. But yeah, so it'll be my 50th anniversary of the cookie exchange. But
Right, because
I sold
well,
my
you're a
yeah,
connector, right?
yeah.
And you're like, I'm all in. I am all in on this. How could I not help you? And think about how many hours pairing 13 cooking episodes, right? It's a lot of effort. And you know what? Your giving and the spirit is contagious. And it's if this is the dream, I'm like, I don't know if it's going to work, but I'm not going to get in the way of it not working. And let me do my part and help. And it's always connecting people. That's what you're about. That in the business of real estate, it is really about connecting people, right? Because someone might need a home inspector. Okay, connect them. They need this, they need that. Who's in your Rolodex for exterminations, for architecture, for building, for clients? And so it's important to I've why I do a good job in my business is because when people have questions, they're going to text me. They're going to text me, they're going to call me and they say, Danny's the answer guy, or he'll help find out who is the person. And so for me, doing this as like my third career at the age that I was at, my network of people was better, which is actually makes me a like if I was fresh out of college trying to do this, I probably wouldn't have been as good. Maybe I would have been better now, but maybe not because also maybe you have to be passionate about what you do. And you are the queen of passion, passion and compassion, but your passion for what you do is basically other people want to follow that. And so it's contagious, your compassion.
Thank you. I like to shine a light on people doing good things, whether they're celebrities. A lot of my celebrity interviews, it's not so much that they're famous. It's what are you doing now to make the world a better place? Like Gloria Gaynor talks a lot about literacy, right? And then all the business owners, when the business owners come on and I'm shining a light on them, it's really also to inspire an entrepreneur that maybe got downsized or whatever, and they've got to find new hope and a new career, right? So I'm shining a light on these businesses, but also inspiring other potential entrepreneurs. And then I scholarship and we do stories on nonprofit organizations because a lot of times they're not able to have a marketing budget. And it's just my way of leaving legacy, not for myself, but for the people that are on my show. And I like it. I like it a lot. And I like owning the studio. Like you said, we do TV commercials here. We did 100 commercials for a sports brand where we turn this whole thing into a gym. Then other people are renting the spot for different commercials that they're doing. And we do remote podcasts just like we're doing now for about 5 or 6 shows. I don't know. It's a life. I've built a life out of just doing the same thing, but in a different way over and over again. I can't believe how long I've been doing it. I feel grateful. I'm grateful every day of my life that I got to experience the things that I've got to experience. We just went to Uzbekistan. My whole crew. It was like six of us. We had the best time seeing all the architecture and the mosaics and the art and dancing and music and great food. So whether it's somebody right down the street and we're celebrating them, or I'm celebrating somebody that's 6,300 miles away, I like it. I'm like I always say, Dan, I'm like the Nolan Ryan of television. But instead of pitching and wanting them to miss, I'm pitching a question.
You don't want that many
And I
4,000
want them,
strikeouts. I think he has
all right.
4,000 strikeouts.
And I want them
But
to hit. It's the
right.
opposite. I want them to hit. So
And that's also why I think you get interesting people on your show because not everyone has heard of the Donna Drake Show. But so how are you getting these celebrities to come on board? I think it's because you're telling them because you're giving them a voice to talk about something that's important to them.
yeah,
And
positivity.
and that's something that it's harder if they're going to go on entertainment tonight. It's going to be much harder for them to tell the story of the things that are important to them. But on the Donna Drake Show, they're able to say, are they doing something like whether it's literacy or hunger drives or housing or whatever the person's views are. And so you definitely give them a channel for them to legitimately a channel for them to do that. But and what's great is that nothing that you don't ever need to go low, right? You're always going high because yours is always about the warm and fuzzies, right? So
Yes.
other people can talk about gang violence and gun control and this and that and politics, and that is absolutely not what. And actually, you could argue with the way that the politics are, which is interesting because we're filming on election day today. That's the Donna Drake Show is all about it. You're opening the tent and the umbrella. Only if politicians could, like you're helping people, right? Not just Americans, but people globally. And if our politicians were able to have that same desire for hope, motivation, and resilience that you have, then everyone on the left and the right and the middle, everyone would get in the room and they try to figure something out to help people.
Well, you
And
know what it is too, Dan? I had a moment. I was away and I was just being in my thought, right? Because I'm a spiritual meditation kind of person. And what really came to me is that peace on earth will happen when it's given between two people. It's the peace between you and I, even though you're somewhere upstate today and I'm down here on Long Island. But if I give you peace and you give me peace, that's peace on earth. That is what it is. That's the secret. I don't know why more people can't figure it out. Becomes so complicated when we take the humanity from our hearts out of it, out of the equation. Peace is I give you peace, you give me peace back. That's peace. And I hope, I just hope for the best for everybody. That's all. Because everybody's like a brother, a sister, a mother, a father. I don't know if it's the household I grew up in, but I just really, truly love a person. People matter to me, just like people matter to you. And I just try to be a good neighbor. And I also try to just be a good citizen. So no matter where I put my head on my pillow at night, I just want to know that I lived the best day I could possibly live, that I didn't wrong anybody, that I gave it my best effort, and I'm okay with that. And if we all can do that, we're going to be in a good place. So that's all.
in real estate, sometimes I make this is, if you looked at my social media, my posts are always thanking people.
Yeah.
I think a real estate transaction can actually be a win-win. There's not a winner and then there's a loser. There's two sides that have agreed to terms that make sense to both of them. It might not be, a seller obviously wants more money and a buyer wants to pay a little less, but in any event, they come to an agreement. And if people, and so that's a winner. And so you don't have to oh, I got them, or I took this out of the house and they didn't know that, of course, not every time you can help it, but you can do win-wins. And so for my social media posts, it's always thanking the other agent. And it's funny because when I tag and I thank them and then I see their posts sometimes, and sometimes their posts is, if I'm the buyer, they're like, oh, I sold a house 127% to list price. And you're like, why are you doing that? First off, you could argue if you priced it wrong, right? Because you priced it under market. And why do you have to so that's making a winner and a loser, right? So you're saying we got someone to overpay you. You're making the buyer feel bad if they ever see your social media post. I never talk about that aspect of it because I don't think it's important, but
it's not.
You know what?
It's nice that you're helping people, Danny, with what it is that you're doing. You really are helping people because it's a challenge, right? Sometimes people have outgrown their home, or for whatever reasons, they have a life challenge and they want to get a bigger house, smaller, whatever it is. You're helping with a solution, right? You're helping them because you should always use a very respected real estate agent. A lot of times people are still trying to do FSBOs. I don't recommend it. I think it's a dangerous game. So by going to someone like yourself, all you're really there to do is to facilitate, like you said, to make the deal, to almost to blend a segue in music. That's what you're doing. You're like a musician, Danny. That's really what you do, right? Taking two pieces of music and you're putting the segue together.
That's true, but then also don't gloat and just be there and help other people. So the interesting thing about the FSBO being for sale by owner is in our town just recently, some family posted in the town Facebook group and said that they're going to sell their house. And they basically were like, any realtor, don't contact us. And so I'm like, okay, I wasn't going to contact you, but that's great. And then you see, I get a Facebook message from the wife. Is it okay if we call you? And I knew what it was going to be about because it was like 2 weeks before. And they're like, I've seen your social media. So they're connected to me on social media. And they're like, we're not sure if we're going to use an agent. We're only using you. They said that. And I didn't know them even that. Only going to use you if we decide to do it. Is it okay if my husband calls? Great. Husband calls. We had a whole chat about the market. And he had an offer, right? And at the end of the day, he was like, is it okay if we do a listing? But if these people buy the house, 60 people contacted them through Facebook, right. But most people don't show up. And it's because it's hard. It's not real estate agents, we're independent contractors. We have to pay our own expenses, healthcare, whatever. It's people don't hand you a bag of money.
No.
That's not what it's work. So basically, I was like, sure, because I also figured house listings are good, and then other people see that, and you might get buyers. But I was like, and then also I figured in the past, if I say that, and if that person does buy it and the seller sees that I've done work for them, you'll get something. So it's always
Right.
good
Could be like a gift certificate to a restaurant, but it'll be something.
whatever it may be. That I have examples of all that too. But so they basically said that they got someone at 1.6. 1.6 is what and I'm like, great. We put it on the market, we get 1.86.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
Because that's the idea is use technology and use the internet, right? Because when you put a house on the internet on MLS, everybody can see it, not just in our town, which is what the Facebook group is, right? It's everywhere in the world because those things the feed is global. And you'll laugh, the person who ended up buying it was not somebody from our town. It was somebody from St. Louis. And I know that the exact St. Louis is your town. And obviously I went to WashU in St. Louis. Both my kids went there. So that's our other connection besides CJ Rod and all the other people is that my connection to St. Louis. I had a child. I had a child at WashU 8 years in a row. So for
Yes, you
eight
did.
years, I was going back and forth to St. Louis. But so it was funny. The person who ended up buying it, he's like a radiologist in St. Louis, and his kids are on the East Coast in our town, and they wanted to move closer to their kids. And
Great.
so you put it on the market, a couple people bid on it. And so clearly 1.86 is more than 1.6. And so that I didn't do anything special except for just using technology and then having proper conversations, treating people respectfully, and then getting the deal done.
And now you have a good new neighbor.
And now I have a neighbor, who it's also right. But it's also, that's why you use the things and try to treat people because I didn't get that. I got that from my social media presence. That was really how they called me. So that's really, and I'm assuming like people see your show and they're like, how can I get on the show? Or they see a marketing from the Drake Media and how do I do that? Or you did this for the Melting Pot. How can you help my company? All you can do is the best work that you can and the things that you're working on, and then market it a little bit, but people are going to see what you're about and see who you are, and then they're going to want to work with you.
It's been really wonderful over the years. Such a special journey. Like I said, I just feel very thankful. I have an attitude of gratitude because every single person like yourself and everybody since day one, I would not have a show if there was no audience. I would not have a show if there weren't any guests. So it's just every person I cherish. I literally cherish every single person that's walked through the door, either in or out. I've seen interns that I've had from those early days. You're talking about a good, like almost 2 decades now, Dan.
I know. I'm old. Look, I still have hair, but it's great. How many interviews? Have you counted how many people you've interviewed on your show?
It's over 18,000 now.
18,000.
It's over
Wow.
18,000 people that I have had the pleasure of talking to in one form or another.
And
give
me like a list of like the top 3 or 5 of people who we would know, but also tell me something interesting that they said to you that surprised you.
I really enjoyed my interview with Jay Leno. I thought that moment for me was really transitioned my thought process a lot. So I was down in Florida. I got to interview him. He won the Brandon Tarnikoff Award. He was having like little smokies or whatever. And so I didn't want to disturb him, but I said, excuse me, Mr. Leno, when you're finished, I'm Donna Drake. I'm supposed to interview you. He goes, absolutely. Let me just finish these little appetizers. I'll be right there. I said, great. So I was just expecting it to be like, I'm talking to you. But the second that my microphone turned on, he became Jay Leno. And I was like,
right.
Oh. And so my energy had to rise up. I was like, I have to be Donna Drake, right? We had this great conversation about cars, about his high school, my high school, just about people. It was a really thoughtful, special moment for me. And afterwards, I went and I started crying profusely. And I called my dad. I said, hey, he goes, babe, you okay? He goes, you sound like you're going to jump off a bridge. I said, no, they're happy tears, Dad. I said, it's not like I grew up to be on the Tonight Show. I said, the guy from the Tonight Show was on my show. I'm like, I guess I grew up to be a talk show host. My dad's, yes, Donna Marie, you're a talk show host. He goes, yep. It's okay. But there have been moments where those pinch me moments where we're interviewing Tony Bennett. Like Tony Bennett's eyes are like so blue. They were like just so spectacular. And they had such a depth of soul in him. So that was an interesting moment.
Were you the one that told him that he should do a duet with Lady Gaga? Was that
I
your,
was
was that?
not, I cannot take credit for that.
Okay, because that
I
would have
wanted
been a
him.
good one. That would have been a great
That would have
connection.
been a great connection. I feel people have gotten back to me though to say that they're being on the show or something that I said. Because I used to do these live it up tips of the day, which I still do from time to time. But people have come back to me to say, hey, did you know that because of something you said, I ended up writing a book? I ended up becoming a script writer. Now my scripts have been turned into films. I'm like, wow, really? Something I said? So that's cool. And speaking of books, I've had chapters in other books, but my book, which is called Live It Up Among the Stars, I'm going to be taking 100 of my top celebrity interviews and they're going to be coming into a book. Like we're doing it. I found a publisher and everything. I'm super excited. And it's really just live it up tips from them, like infused with some of my own common sense charisma. Coming
Well, I
to
think that should be
coming to
good.
the bookshelf soon.
That's good, and I'm gonna love. I don't think I make the top 100, but I
Wait a
was there
second,
when
Danny.
it
I don't know.
started
Let me,
on the.
Danny. I
But
don't know.
but what
Maybe.
was interesting is that your drive and determination really was the thing that made me get my book done because my family's like, really, no one cares about what you do in real estate, like from a book perspective, and it's going to be boring and whatever. And I pushed through. I got it written. I got it. That's technology. We talked before, like we don't like when car rental places don't let you talk to a person and it's only the AI computer that bothers us. And we're going to look for the car rental places that actually have people talking. But Amazon publishing is this amazing place where you basically can put your book there. Then there's background and SKUs and things like that to make sure that it's your word and whatever. And then all of a sudden, you have a book and it's the print on demand, right? Where somebody can order one book. Like it's shocking that one book, they must make few to hold on to them, but you buy X amount and they're going to produce the book and then they'll get sent it out like in 2-3 days, if that long. So technology is this amazing thing where you're really able, sometimes it can be bad, right? Technology sometimes is bad in how it's following you and your phone hears what you're saying and then you're getting ads for the words that you said for a month, that people can actually write their story and then have it. And so it's interesting because my son, my 22-year-old son, on the back of the book, he goes, I hate real estate, but this book is actually good.
Oh,
That's
that's cool.
and I had to put that quote there because I think that meant that actually that my son said those were the other thing that my son said he didn't want to put on the book was he goes, the book is better than I thought it could be.
Oh, wow.
Right.
Wow.
Where it's like, yeah, everyone gave me the no, you can't do it. It's a waste of time or whatever. And you just sometimes when you have a dream, you just have to push through it. And it's a small thing, it's only a little book, but it's
You did it though,
storytelling.
Danny. But you
And
did it.
I did it. It's storytelling. I can always say I'm a published author and it's about the people. So that's who I like is that I was able to tell these 13 stories about working together and those people are generally happy with that and feel like, oh my God, oh, we're chapter whatever. And that's the greatest thing. It's been a lot of fun.
And your descendants, right? Like your great grandchildren, right? Will get to read that book. I don't
And
know.
they're like, yeah, we're shocked that he did it too, but it worked.
But
So
it worked. Go
yeah.
Daniel Berger.
Yeah.
Woo.
You and I can, I'm sure, could talk for about a week on straight. People would be sleeping by then. So it would be better than melatonin, this or my podcast. But the Donna Drake Show has to go on. I'm sure you're ready to book people, produce things, and all that. I actually have a closing today, so that's really good as
Yay.
well. We got to dot our
Yeah, back
I's,
to work.
cross our T's, and do our job. But I'm so happy that decades after me helping you get your show done and making it happen and following you and seeing you on TV all the time that I was able to to interview you a little bit. And you're a warm, wonderful person that if more Donna Drakes in the world would be a much better place. I love everything you do about hope, motivation, and resilience. That is who you are. And anytime that you can have any of that stuff rub off on other people is a positive thing.
Thank you. I'm going to send you good karma right through the screen, my friend. Also, I
So,
just want to give you one shout out before we wrap up. I think it's so cool. You bought an old firehouse that you're converting. Super cool. Okay.
so
And yeah, so I
I,
follow you too, just to let you know.
So actually, that's following up with one of my clients. I saw he was a very good investor, and I'm like, okay, so I've done a bunch of things with him, and then that's one of the projects he wanted. I'm like, do you want to take an investor? And so it's a firehouse in Beacon, New York, which is Beacon's. It's a beautiful town, and it's a definite resurgence of the town and very trendy, younger people. It's not. It's artsy. It's really more of an artisan community, is really what it is. And so we're actually, the ground floor is going to be like a coffee, wine bar, event space. And then we're going to do some 4 apartments on the second and third floor. The worst thing about the firehouse is that there's no fire pole.
Oh,
So
you could get one on Amazon. Okay.
maybe we will, but yes, so again, it's all about the networking and working with my clients. And so it's, oh, this is a good idea. And yes, thank you for seeing that, and let's see what happens, right? It's you never know, and it seems like a cool thing to do, and to put money into Beacon, New York, and to become a part of the fabric of that awesome community is a fun thing to be able to do. So
Nice to see you.
thanks for the shout out, Donna.
Thank you
For,
for today.
for
Thank you.
having Donna Drake with 18,000 people she interviewed and had on her show, and she's on my show. And that's wow, I am lucky me and lucky Donna that we were able to have a nice chat today. So for everyone, it's Daniel Berger with another episode of the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. Until next time, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining me on the Adventures of a Real Estate Broker. I hope you enjoyed our time together as much as I did. If you laughed, learned something, or just had a good time, do yourself a favor and subscribe to the podcast. A big shout out to our sponsor, RE/MAX Prestige Properties, for making this all possible. Remember to leave a review if you enjoyed the show. It helps more people find us. Until next time, keep it real, keep it fun, and keep exploring the adventures in your neighborhood. I'm Daniel Berger, your New York realtor, and I'll see you in the next episode.